What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Welcome to Review and Preview. I am your host, Tom Scavetta, running it solo tonight here on the show. No Kyle Russo, no James Montefusco, but that's okay. We have a very stacked lineup for you guys for our last show of June. Before I get any further, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Review and Preview Sports if you haven't already. We have loads of content on there. And give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the Anchor to catch all forms of our podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you may get your podcast. And I'm really excited to introduce tonight's guest who will be joining us in just a moment. Well, first of two guests that we have. And this first guest, I spoke with him once on Andy Hopper's show on the Brew Party. He's a lot of fun to talk to. I'm going to talk about the state of the Pittsburgh Steelers with him because obviously the Steelers just released guard David DeCastro last week, so that's going to be a big talking point for us. He's also a Vegas Golden Knights fan out in Vegas. Unfortunately, they lost in Game 6 to the Montreal Canadiens. But without further ado, the host of the New Music Inferno Show, member of the Funch Bunch, streams on Twitch at The Real Tight Spot, Pittsburgh Steelers and Vegas Golden Knights superfan, JR John Rankin. How's it going, my friend?
It's going great, Tom. Thank you so much for having me here. I feel honored and privileged to be here to talk about the Steelers, to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights, which, being a Vegas native for 7 years and to have this team come in 4 years and the effectiveness that brought the town together after the October 1st tragedy 4 years ago, and get to the Cup once, get to the semifinals twice, and lose in the first round once because of a major penalty. I'm here. I'm ready to have a good time, Tom. So let's get going. Let's fire away. What do you want me to tell you?
Well, I feel like Pittsburgh fans are very well traveled. Now, I kind of want you to tell the folks about like the stuff that you do, your podcast and whatnot, and how you became a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, being that you are out in Vegas.
Well, originally I grew up in a small town called McSherrystown, Pennsylvania, right outside of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Grew up liking the Buffalo Bills a little bit, due to the fact that my brother is a Cowboys fan, and of course, how many Super Bowls the Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills had. I was rooting against him. I always liked Jim Kelly, mad respect, and because Jim Kelly is also a Pennsylvania native. Well, being young and naive and not knowing who to really like and not knowing that Pittsburgh was in Pennsylvania when I was a young kid, I started liking Pittsburgh after the fact that they went to the Super Bowl against Dallas, and Neil O'Donnell couldn't get the job done, but I still have respect for him. Cordell couldn't get the job done, but this boy did. This Notre Dame boy right here, Jerome Bettis. I had to bring him in. From the living room. You're wearing the Notre Dame shirt. I unfortunately am wearing my Rick and Morty shirt with Jerry and Rick in the summer, Beth on. But growing up a Pittsburgh fan, it was because, and also a Notre Dame fan, because of my family. My family, my aunt Rita, one of my teachers, Mrs. Staub, rest in peace. And just some of my other family members were Pittsburgh Steelers fans as well. And I connected to that because I was like, you know what? I'm a family guy. I love my family to death. And just to see Pittsburgh also, win some Super Bowls and the way they've been, had Bill Cowher their coach and, right. Cowher's just, amazing analyst as well. I love him on CBS. Don't get me wrong. I've seen worse, and the internet's seen worse. People can know. You just look at the threads of the hate that people spew out there. But I'm just trying to get my thoughts in order here. But with Notre Dame, it was because of the teachers. It was just also the area. You're either a Penn State fan or a Notre Dame fan. I didn't like blue and white. I like that green. I like that gold. I liked Rick Meyer. dude, I have mad respect for Brady Quinn, even though he went to a shitty team, and couldn't play on a shitty team because they didn't build around him. You know, how are you gonna let a great college quarterback suffer in a league behind a crappy Cleveland Browns team? And everybody in Cleveland can probably attest to that. They didn't have a good team with Brady. Jimmy Clausen was another example, but you know, we're not here to talk about former Notre Dame quarterbacks. That's a whole nother episode.
Right. Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm done.
It was funny because I remember being on the Big Blue Brew Party Who Talks Sports epic draft show with Andy Hopper a couple months ago, who says hello in the comments section, by the way. Shout out to Andy
Hopper. Big Fun Chatty. What's up, brother?
I remember you saying that you were a Notre Dame fan on that show, so I quick switched my shirt an hour before the show, and I figured why not, you know, represent a little bit. And I love how you collect all those pop figures. The Jerome Bettis one is definitely my favorite. Andy saying hell of a show.
It's about $100. It's $100 right now.
Really?
Yeah, if you go on the Funko app, I know Juju is about 65. Big Ben's about 55, 60 as well. But I bought them when they were like $10. So they're an investment. They're investments.
That is nuts. I know I have like one or two. Sadly, I have an Odell Beckham one, which is probably my least favorite player on the Giants of all time. But anyway, I won't get into that. But yeah, let's get into your Pittsburgh Steelers. They released David DeCastro on Thursday. DeCastro was a veteran on your ailing offensive line.
Yeah.
DeCastro was described as a mauler and cerebral, one of the best players at his position over the course of the past decade. Unfortunately, he did battle some abdominal injuries last year and struggled the bone spurs in his foot. He did admit to losing his love for the game without fans in the stands, but that could be coined as any player coming out and saying that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, any player. I mean, look at a lot of the other sports that are allowing fans now, and football is going to be the last one to a certain extent. And I mean, a lot of stadiums had fans. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But I would agree with him because honestly, you're out there playing to an empty stadium, and it's a whole different game. You can hear the other team, but with the fans there, you could hardly hear it, and it's a lot better with the calls and everything else. But yeah, just ridiculous. But go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I agree with.
No, it's all good.
I
totally agree. I feel like the media could have coined that in a different direction, as where I think he's more contemplating his career because of his injury. This is his third time getting surgery on his ankle, JR, and bone spurs in his ankle were a constant issue last year. Where do you think he might land? Do you think he'll retire? First I'll ask, do you think he'll retire? And if he doesn't, which team do you think could potentially snag him?
Well, when it first came out, when they released him, I went in and looked into what was going on with him. He does want to play. He does want to play more, but he does need another surgery. That was revealed to us 4 days ago. And he wants to play, but who's going to take an option for a guard at 31 that has had these injuries and that has to use the ankles and the legs to get that push to push off the line to hold off the defensive people? Who was going to take a chance? And I'm seeing that people are thinking the Cardinals. I think if anything, if I was him, I would take the year off. I mean, he probably saved his money last year, and I don't know him personally, but I hope he's not spending his money, with whatever. But I think he might take the year off, just to, work out, get the surgeries, and not like push himself so hard to come back. But maybe a late season addition as well to somebody, because you never know when and where someone's going to get injured. And David DeCastro's been working out in his private gym or wherever the hell he's working out is ready to come back and be 100%.
Right.
You don't want to, at 31, you're on that brink of, am I going to still be able to play? Am I going to be able to keep up with these 20, 25-somethings that are coming out of college that are taking my spot? Or, like the Steelers did, sign another guy who had another injury. Like, I'm not even sure, why they did that. I mean, they should have drafted somebody in all being. I mean, there was a lot of... Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
I was saying that on the draft show, if you remember. I'm saying they need to draft a lineman, and then they take Najee Harris. Yep. Yeah,
and they didn't. I mean, it's just sometimes the moves they make during the draft and the moves they do in the preseason post draft, it kind of hurts you in the fact when they could have drafted a rookie second round, third round, and be there. Because those guys right there are hungry to prove that they're ready to play. They might have not been first round numbers because, running backs, quarterbacks, and all that needed to be taken. But offensive linemen are the most important person besides the quarterback on that offense. You can have a decent running back. You can have decent and subpar receivers and still win games. But if you don't have somebody protecting that line, protecting that barrier between you and the quarterback and the defense, you're not going to get anywhere. No. You're going to have sack after sack after sack. Look at what happened to Jared Goff being one of the most sacked quarterbacks. Right? Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're right. And I have a close friend of mine, too, who considers Jared Goff to be a bottom 5 quarterback. I continue to tell him that he's wrong because the line is just absolutely atrocious. Any quarterback that's good needs a halfway decent line in front of him. And now it's the same thing with your Steelers. Matt Filer signed with the Chargers. Marquise Pouncey retired. Alejandro Villanueva signed with the Ravens. And
to the Ravens, all the teams for him to sign, all the teams for Alejandro to sign to the Ravens.
Yeah, that's insulting.
I love you, bro, but come on.
Yeah,
it's like Rod Woodson when he signed with the Steelers. I'm like, dude, really,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going insane about it, but
I love it.
It's true.
We have a comment from Daniel Bakley. Hey, guys, kick butt tonight. Steelers need to get younger on the line, so not bad move. And Seahawks, LOL. Seahawks have a bad line, too. But
They do. And it's like this, and I'm going to mention this back to our next one of our next topics is Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas is doing the same thing. We traded away Nick Suzuki for Max, who's been good, during the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, drops a little bit. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, let's just.
And I want to ask you real quick. Back to your Odell Beckham. Which one do you have?
Yeah.
Which one do you have? Do you remember? Without even going to look for it. Is it the blue? Is it a blue jersey or the away jersey? Real quick, if it's the away, go ahead.
It's the red one.
The red one?
Yeah, I believe it's a red one.
It's $10. $10.
Yeah, I did not. I did not buy it. Sadly, it was a gift for my birthday one year, and I won't reveal who bought it for me. But yeah, that was something else. But anyway, back to DeCastro and why I think this really hurts Pittsburgh heading into next year. You mentioned 31 years old, but that's still not extremely old as far as offensive line standards. I mean, he's 6'5".
Injuries.
Yes, the injuries have haunted him, but a former first rounder, he's a 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first team All-Pro, 124 career starts. So look, I'm a Giants fan. I'd love to have this guy on the Giants if his health keeps up or gets better. Only gave up 17 pressures last year, 2 QB hits, 0 sacks. Now, granted, Big Ben does have the quickest release time in the NFL, so we have to factor that in as well. So now we kind of transition into the state of the Pittsburgh Steelers. JR, Mike Tomlin just got a 3-year contract extension back in April. What is the state of this team? Because this team reminds me of the Giants from 2018. You just got a new toy in the backfield in Najee Harris.
Mm-hmm.
You have an aging quarterback. You have an atrocious offensive line. Kevin Dotson. I mean, you did get Kendrick Green out of Illinois, who was probably a good draft pick for you. But other than that, the line is not good. I don't like either tackle. This reminds me too much of 2018 Giants.
I hope not. But I told Andy when I had Andy on my podcast to talk about the NFC because he's a Bears fan.
Yeah.
I said that we would probably miss the playoffs.
Okay.
We'd probably either be 9-8 or 8-9. It's just a schedule that we have, and
it's toughest in the entire league.
We play the runner-ups from last year's Super Bowl. We play, just like everybody. We play everybody. We get Dallas in this game coming up here. We get the Bills week 1 in Buffalo. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year, to say the least, and I'm going to watch as many games as I can, watch as many highlights, but I don't think we're going to do well. I think even if we try to have Mason Rudolph as our backup, and I don't know why, I really don't understand how we still have trust and belief in him after a weird 2019-2020 season with him, with all the shit talking and everything he did. 8-9, 9-8, and at the least probably 10-7 if we can do that.
Yeah, I think 10-7 is probably your ceiling. I think you could win as few as 5-6 games because of how tough the division is. Daniel just said it. Steve just said the exact same thing. Shout out to Steve Markman. Tough division too for the Steelers. The Browns are much better. The Ravens are better. Now, this leads me to ask you this question, JR. Is this it for Big Ben? Is this his last season? This is the last year of his contract. So do you see him coming back after 2021? I mean, my answer is no, but I want to hear what you think as the Steelers fan.
I don't think so. I think it is. I think it is his last hurrah. I think we are going to, if we can, get a solid quarterback in the draft and then go after the offensive line.
Right.
But I don't know what the front office. I'm not in any of that. If I was, I'd say like draft day, you got to pick a quarterback. You can't trust Mason. You didn't give Josh Dobbs his solid go, even though he could have been well if given a chance. I mean, he is like a Cordell Stewart that could have maybe led you to some wins earlier in his career, but he's aging as well because he's been back up for how long now?
Wow.
We traded him or let him sign by somebody else, and then we sign him again. It's like, I don't know what the front office does, but they need to make some quick adjustments after this season. I like Michael Tomlin. I like Tomlin as a coach, but we need to see what we can do after Big Ben. If one season without Big Ben is a total letdown, then we got to, maybe flop again, get a better first-round pick, and go from there. But we'll see.
Yeah, so you kind of answered my next question about who could be his potential replacement. I think option A right now, because there is no draft coming up.
They trust in him.
Mason Rudolph. And unpopular opinion, I like him more than most. I know people aren't necessarily a fan of him or what he says, this and that, but I think he's a serviceable backup QB in this league. If Roethlisberger goes down, I think you could potentially win games with him. I don't think he's the type of quarterback that's going to necessarily lose you games. Is he the long-term answer? I don't know. I think you're much better off taking a QB in the draft and just looking at some of these QBs that are coming out next year. guys like Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, Grayson McCall, Keaton Slovis from USC. I know you're a West Coast guy, so you may know a little bit about him. These guys are, really hit or miss. There's no one quarterback coming out of next year's draft that is going to be like a Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, let's say, right? Now,
no, you don't.
That's what's concerning, where maybe Rudolph is a one-year bridge, so who knows what's going to happen. That's the way I view it, though. I think it wouldn't be the end of the world if Rudolph is the starter in 2022. But I do agree with you where I don't think he's the long-term solution to the problem.
I'm looking at this this Windy City Gridiron page. They say that we're going to have the 13th pick in the draft next season. They say that the Bengals will be worse than us next year. And they also say that the Texans are going to be the worst team and pick up Rattler.
That I could see.
We could see because they are going through all that Deshaun Watson bullshit. But one thing I'm going to say right now, I will definitely be in attendance at the draft, and I hope review and preview will be out here as well for the draft.
Really? So Andy said something at the end of the draft show that we're going to Vegas for the draft. I don't know how true that is.
You should.
If we are, we're probably going to end up doing a live stream of some sort. So
we're going to hang out. We're going to hang out. We're going to drink. We're going to paint the town red.
I've never been to Vegas, so that'll be definitely very interesting. I know they're starting to get more popular in sports, but back to the Steelers.
Okay, sorry.
Hank and Dichter. No worries. You're good. Hank and Dichter has a comment. You may remember him from our draft show.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking around 8 wins for the Steelers. I'm thinking Hank's around right with that prediction.
Well, let me check right now. Let me get my William Hill app, and let me tell you the win totals are already out, I believe. And we can tell you what the win total is for Vegas. I was not prepared for this to have Vegas tell me. But it's let's see what Vegas says. Let me log in here. I'm not even going to gamble or anything because I feel like crap after the Vegas whole situation. Let's go to Pro Bowl futures. You know what? The top predictions instead of the to win the AFC and all that. Steelers regular season wins over under 8.5.
Yeah. Well, look, and this kind of segues into my next question. Defensively, you still have guys like Stephon Tuitt, who I'm sure is one of your favorite players.
Oh, yeah.
Wink,
Stewart.
wink.
Yeah.
You have T.J. Watt. You did lose Bud Dupree, but the team did pick up Minkah Fitzpatrick's fifth-year option. How far can the defense take this team if things are average on the offense? Let's say the Steelers' offense is average and the line holds their own. How far can the defense take them? Because we saw – and again, I'm only using this reference because I'm a Giants fan. In 2016, I don't think we scored over 30 points a game once, and we went 11-5, made the playoffs because our defense was absolutely outstanding. So what do you think of that defense? How far can it take Pittsburgh?
It all depends on the health. It all depends on the health of each and every one of those guys. I mean, we had Stewart go out a couple games. Like you mentioned, we lost Bud Dupree. We're getting Devin Bush back.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. I really would have loved to have seen Watt and Watt together, but unfortunately he went to Arizona. And Arizona still has some bitterness towards the Steelers after that Super Bowl win. I was hoping that I have nothing wrong against Arizona Cardinals. I love Larry because Larry Fitzgerald was one of those guys that never had any trouble in the league. He was always one of those guys that stuck with the team. I'm calling you out, LeBron. I don't know why, but I'm calling you out. I hate you, LeBron, with the switch flopping teams to win a championship. You have players that stick and glue with the team because they believe in the system, and Larry Fitzgerald is one of them. LeBron, you weren't. Get out. I'm sorry. I love making.
I have no problem with that.
You're making references to the Giants, so I can make references to people that I kind of despise, but I respect his game.
Yeah.
And also, let's get it going right now this week. Again, I know you guys started it earlier. I know A-Hop, you know what I'm talking about. Hashtag not my Space Jam. Let's do it.
Before we get into our way too early AFC North predictions, just want to scroll through a couple of comments. Steve says it's a shame for Big Ben, but I think they should have went younger at the QB position. Hank asks, what do you think of having Haskins as your backup? Well,
that's right. We have Dwayne
right
Haskins.
now he's third. He's third on the depth chart behind Rudolph. So what do you think of him? Obviously, it didn't work out in Washington. The switching of the head coaches, he really never found his own there. But what do you think of having him?
I think if he settles in a little bit and realizes there's a game to play on the field and not, worry about the money or any other significant bullshit that's off field. Because honestly, you've seen a lot of young quarterbacks like Johnny Football, for example.
This is true.
The lavish lifestyles that they think. And, you had a problem with Jimmy Clausen as well with that situation as well. But mad respect to him. My friend just got a cameo from Jimmy Clausen for his 40th birthday.
No way.
Yeah. One of his friends did a cameo.
You need to show me this.
Yeah, it's on Facebook. I'll send you the link.
Send that to me.
I was like, a Jimmy Clausen happy birthday to Richard Becker. I'm like, that's funny as shit. I'm like, wow, Jimmy Clausen. I don't know what he's doing, but I know Brady Quinn. He's big on the Fox Sports Radio with what is this sidekick's name? God, I know Jonas Knox.
Oh, okay.
Hilarious.
Yes, I have heard of that. Yeah,
I love it. But go ahead. We're gonna get into way too early predictions.
Better than the Eagles, 6.5 over under. Yeah, Steve is an Eagles fan.
Steve, I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts is the answer, though. Jalen Hurts was the answer, and he's going to be –
I disagree. I think he is a bottom 5 quarterback, putting it nicely in the league.
Okay. All right.
That's how I feel personally. Part of it, I think they're in a rebuilding mode, but hopefully for Steve's sake, I'm wrong. We have a lot of LeBron comments in the stream that I'm not going to get to.
Okay, if anybody wants to talk to me about LeBron,
here we go.
At JRNMIVGK, or you come on after this whole stream is over. I'm going to stick around and watch the second half, but I'm going to be going live on my Twitch and we're playing some NCAA football, so we can talk shit or repose your messages about LeBron.
Yeah. By the way, I'm with Steve. I think Haskins is garbage. And David says, good evening. Good evening to you as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, David. Thanks for joining us.
Way too early AFC North predictions. Well, now that we've kind of gone on a little roller coaster here, I think it's a race between the Ravens and the Browns for the division title. And, I like to be as optimistic as Pittsburgh as I can. But these are the two teams that are going to fight for the crown. I think it's going to come down to who has the better offensive line. Again, I think games are won and lost in the trenches. I think the Browns have a slightly better offensive line right now. Baker Mayfield is in a contract year. I believe they did exercise his 5th-year option, but I'm going to go ahead and say the Browns are going to be your 2021 AFC North champions, with the Ravens finishing in second, the Steelers not too far behind in third, and then the Bengals bringing up the rear. But I do think the Bengals have potential to see a 4-5 win uptick this season.
Well, we do get the Bengals week 3 in Pittsburgh, and I really would have loved to seen the Raiders game be out here, but that's not going to happen for another 3 years because of how the whole thing coagulates with the formulas of the seasons. I do see that prediction being almost correct. I see that if Baltimore can win the big games and Lamar can't choke, like he somehow does, or the team doesn't perform well, I see them winning by maybe a half a game.
Okay.
Over the Browns. I see us going in third. Slightly, maybe a fourth. I mean, you got Burrows coming back from an injury.
Yes.
And they don't have AJ Green anymore. But I really think Cincinnati has a chance.
Oh yeah.
if they could be number 3, and then we could be number 4, and then we could be like up there in the top 5 in the draft and get a quarterback, and then second round draft that offensive tackle that we desperately need to hold our own and have a viable option for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Baltimore by a half game. We're going to have the Browns make the playoffs and maybe get another win like they did last year against us.
Right.
Which they didn't really have. I had a feeling we were going to lose that game just the way we played the week before against them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Browns make the playoffs. Browns win a game. Probably lose the Chiefs again, or maybe even the Ravens in the second round, who gets a bye. Or is there only one bye again, or how is this going to?
There's only one team that gets a bye. I'm talking more like AFC North predictions, like who.
Oh, well, I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the
trying
rundown.
To process. Got it.
The whole process. So maybe the Bengals lose to the number 1 seed, whoever that might be, if they beat whoever they play in the first round. But it's the Chiefs leagues, the Chiefs and the Buccaneers league to lose again, but not really in the NFC again, because NFC, I think there's some teams that could beat the Buccaneers, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is a really good question by Steve. They got Jamar Chase. They still don't have an answer at tight end, though. Their line isn't great. It's young and inexperienced. Defensively, they did lose William Jackson, although they did gain Trey Hendrickson, which is something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
He was a beast for the Saints last year. I believe he was tied for second in the NFL in sacks, actually. But yeah, so I think the Bengals do finish in 4th, but they do have potential to go in.
Oh, I meant the Browns. I said the Bengals in the playoffs. What the fuck did I mean? I meant the Browns. Sorry.
What I thought you meant.
Yeah, I meant the Browns. I'm sorry. I screwed up there.
No, all good.
Because I was looking at the Steelers schedule and kept on mentioning week 3.
Yeah.
I think they're a year or 2 away.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Year or 2 away. They just need a healthy Joe Burrows, and like you've seen quarterbacks come back, just like Alex Smith after a year or 2. Alex Smith was he did really well with what he had in Washington. It's sad to see that they moved on and he then retired. But if anybody thinks Alex Smith was not a good quarterback, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, guys. He could be a quarterback coach just like Byron Leftwich and win games for your team.
That he can. But do you have an official win number for Pittsburgh before we segue into Vegas?
Let's go 10 as a ceiling, 8 as a floor.
10 as a ceiling, 8 as a floor. I'm just going to say I have the Steelers going 9-8, and that's me being optimistic. That's me being optimistic.
All right.
But I trust their defense a lot, and I do love Mike Tomlin. So
everybody take that bet. Everybody take that bet. Take that bet right now, Vegas. If you have it, bet on it.
So let's I don't mean to dampen the mood here on you, but Vegas did lose to Montreal in 6 games. They lost game 6, 3-2 in overtime. Arturi Lehkonen had the game-winning goal less than 2 minutes in, sending the Habs to their first Stanley Cup final since 1993. That was over 28 years ago at this point. Weber and Cole Caulfield had another goal in this game. He was outstanding. But the focus here is more on Vegas. Robin Leonard was in net, not Fleury in this game. And 3 of Montreal's 4 wins in this series came by a 3-2 score. Vegas did lose 2 of the 4 games in this series in OT. So, JR, what went wrong for Vegas?
What didn't go wrong?
No. Trying to be nice.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, we went 7 with Minnesota. We went 6 with Colorado. We lose in 6 here. If we look back at the stats of each game, hell, we had 45 shots to 1 game and we lose. We lose 2-1 off of 45 shots? Nah, if you do that in basketball and you only score 2, you're still going to get fucking hammered and lose. You know, it gets to the point where why aren't the pucks going in? Why couldn't we beat Carey Price? Why couldn't we do what the Lightning did last night, 5-1 every single game? They only had 20-plus wins. They played the weakest division of all because you had Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, who looked like a fucking joke against these guys. Oh, no, a joke in the playoffs against Winnipeg. Then you had Toronto, who has, their savior, Austin Matthews, and couldn't even beat these guys when they had a lead in the series. And then you had Winnipeg get sweeped. Yep. Sweeped 4 games by these guys. By a lot of no-namers. Cole Caulfield, a rookie that's come out of college.
20 years old.
Yeah. I couldn't do that at 20. He scores on a first ballot Hall of Famer, Marc-Andre Fleury. We fucked up. That game, that series was fucked up after the fact. We lit up the tying goal to go into overtime in that first overtime game. Our mood changed after that. Our entire game plan was out the window. Like, if you saw that mood, Fleury was pissed off at himself for letting that go in.
Yeah, we do have a comment from Noah. What's with the goalie carousel there at the end? I guess he's referring to Leonard and Net over Fleury. Yeah.
I can't really say. I mean, I'm not Kelly McCormick. I'm not Peter DeBoer. I like what he did last year in the bubble with us and how he had to be our coach because we fired Gerard Gallant because we went on a losing streak, and the front office was like, oh, we got to do this right now. Noah, I tell you this. I really believe he should have won the Vezina. I really do. He won 40 games. He won most of the games last season for us.
Yeah.
He dominated. He had a lot of shutouts. Who won the Vezina, by the way? I forget.
I forget too.
Shoot, let me look this up. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Have to look it up. We'll see who gets to it first. Folks, in the comment section, if you know, feel free to comment the winner of the Vezina Trophy. And the winner hasn't been announced yet.
Oh, really?
According to that's Wikipedia. You know how.
Yeah, I thought somebody did win it. I thought somebody won it.
Well, Connor Hellebuck won it last year.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
Now, here's the next question, though. So we're talking about goaltending, and Vegas allowed an NHL low 124 goals this year. I mean, yes, you did have a solid core of defenders in Shea Theodore and Alex Pietrangelo, but the combo of Fleury and Leonard, will that
part-time Alex? I'm going to say part-time Alex because he didn't show up half the games. He could have been so much better.
My question is, will that duo be back next year for Vegas?
Fleury wants to be. Salary cap's going to be the issue again.
Yeah,
because
that's a big issue.
It's going to be a big issue because teams couldn't make money half the season.
Yeah.
And it's hit all sports. I mean, look at baseball. I mean,
NFL cap.
NFL is another major hit. I mean, we have a $2 billion stadium in Vegas.
Yeah.
That had how many fans in it? 0.
That's a big problem.
Yeah. But luckily Allegiant and Las Vegas will make some of their money back August 21st for SummerSlam. When that hits with WWF, WWE. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. 63. I will take pictures and I'll send them to you, Tom. Section 332, I believe. Section 332. I don't really care. I was 4th row for a pay-per-view before. And, I was like, you know what? I've been to Money in the Bank at T-Mobile. That was my first event at T-Mobile. My first Allegiant Stadium has to be a wrestling event.
2008 Royal Rumble right here.
Oh! Well, that's fucking awesome. Was that was in MSG? MSG. Well, that Sphere is costing about $2 billion that they're making with Venetian out here, and you're probably when you come out here for the draft next season, you're like, wow, that's $2 billion that shouldn't have been spent. Yeah. You should be. You should be coming.
You guys are going to drag me on a flight. Andy's going to drag me.
Andy's going to drag you to if he wanted to, he would drag you to Kansas City to see Ron Funches live in a month or two, whenever that is. Because honestly, can I give a shout out real quick to somebody out there in the Twitcherverse that you guys need to go follow? Everybody go follow Effie Lives right now, and also go follow my New Zealander, my number one NCAA streamer in New Zealand, because he's the only person that streams that from New Zealand. AJ Ninewood. Go follow them both. They're great people. Just wanted to give them a shout out here as we wind down our Vegas talk. Andre, okay, so if the salary cap is viable to keep Fleury, we will. If not, Leonard's going to be a starter, and Logan Thompson will move up from the AHL. Yeah, from our Henderson Silver Knights.
Love the hat. But this is the problem too. You have some UFAs in.
This is not to you. This is not to you, though.
Your opinion means very little. Oh.
I'm just kidding. It's not about you, though. That's to all the haters out there.
Let's circle back to Vegas for one more second. Okay. Janmark Martinez, Alec Martinez is a huge piece to the team. I know he's a little older, and Tomas Nosek are all free agents, so that's going to be big. I mean, Carey Price was so dominant. Vegas is in a situation right now where how better can they get? That they couldn't get past Carey Price. It's just going to be very interesting to see what happens with Vegas. They didn't have an answer for Tyler Toffoli, who had 14 points in the series. We did
in the regular season when he was with the Kings. We owned his ass.
Yeah. I mean, the impact of Carey Price was huge in the series, though.
Oh, it was. Carey Price. Okay, so I'll tell you this. I've always respected Carey Price as a goalie. Mm-hmm. I think he's top tier. And it sucks that he, played for Montreal all his career. And another goalie is the goalie from Ottawa. I can't remember his name right now, but the Ottawa goalie. Amazing, but no team behind him. Yeah, Mark Stone came from there. Mark Stone was the only piece they had at winning games. And Mark Stone, I think he's not going to admit it to anybody except himself and maybe the medical staff. He played injured that series. He played injured during the playoffs. He had to. He was not chasing after, half the team was so slow. It looked like they were just a JV squad looking to be on the ice. They were just not going after the puck half the time. I believe they might commit to Leonard due to the age difference. Fleury would be gone for sure if Vegas was in the expansion draft. Oh, they are exempt, Noah. They are exempt. And I know that's pissing a lot of people off.
Yeah.
But don't blame Vegas. It's not their fault. It's the rules that Gary Bettman and them made for the expansion draft.
The rules of the NHL.
Yeah, it's not our fault. We're just a simple bystander trying to keep a team alive to win the playoffs.
And that goalie for Ottawa, it's not Craig Anderson, is it?
Yes, Craig Anderson. I have mad respect for him and everything he's been through, personal life as well, with his wife, I think, cancer. Also, fuck cancer. Jess Cash, always and forever. Tyler Cash, I love you, bro. And I can't believe you're out here in Vegas working for the Knights now. That is your dream job after everything that you went through with your wife and her dying last year due to brain cancer. I love you, Tyler. Much love to Tyler. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Bringing that up because of Craig Anderson, because he was out here. He actually didn't get to meet Craig Anderson that day, but he did go to the ceremony that day when Craig was given that award at the NHL Awards that year when we did the draft out here for us.
So JR, while we have a couple more minutes, I kind of just want to touch upon your
Mhm.
prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals and kind of just talk about what's brought Montreal this far in the playoffs. You could give me a simple answer and say it's Carey Price and call it a day, but if there's anything else you wanted to add on that, and then your prediction.
All right, so it's just not just Carey Price. We mentioned him already. I think the answer is Cole Caulfield. I think Cole Caulfield was an answer. I think youth is coming into the league. I think the old heads that have been around, like Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, congratulations to him winning a cup 4 years ago. I really think that in the thick of things, I think it's Cole Caulfield. I think it's the youth. I think it's Suzuki as well. And I'm sad to see that we traded him because I had a feeling that he was going to be a core piece that we would have replaced by now, but we haven't. We have people that are subpar to him, like Dylan Secura and a couple of the other guys in the AHL that probably will be on our starting day roster next season, like Patrick Brown, who did win a Calder Cup with the Charlotte Checkers, like Nick Waugh did. It's gonna be Tampa either in 4 or 5, but I'm laying myself on 4 because of last night's dominant performance. They have people that can overshoot Carey and get there. That's my pick. Tampa in 4. I know it's not a lot of money to bet on that, but if you want to bet on that, go ahead. If not, take Tampa in 5. It's not going 6 or 7. We're not seeing any further.
Suzuki, the former Vegas prospect, traded for Pacioretty, who I heard wasn't good this series. Yeah, that's true.
No, that is so true. I mentioned that, and it sucks that we did, and George McPhee and them in the higher ups. I think they were, and I think they're going to change their attitude after this season. After the 4th try that we tried, I think they wanted a cup right away. And if they don't go youth, and if they don't have a rebuilding year now, it's going to be a weird ride in Vegas. Our fans might burn the city down before we burn Allegiant Stadium down, because the Raiders might choke again this year as well. Who knows? We'll see, though. Everybody just has to stay healthy on that.
That's right. JR, just wanted to thank you so much for joining me tonight on this podcast. Really do appreciate you. Pittsburgh Steelers superfan, Vegas Golden Knights superfan, big Notre Dame fan as well, so we do share that bond. But before I let you go, why don't you tell the viewers, the listeners, and the watchers where they can find you and your content?
All right, let's start off first. The twitter.com/JRNMIVGK or at New Music Inferno. Twitch.tv/The Real Tight Spot. You can see the name right there on the screen, The Real Tight Spot. Just type that in, type Twitch. You follow me there. I have a goal going right now. If I get 400 followers, I have 5 packs of the new Pokemon cards that came out that I'm going to open if we hit 400 followers, and all that. And also, I'm going to do one you favor right now. If you guys can get one more follower for review and peer review while we're live, they're at 315. If we can get 316, I will open a pack tonight on my stream just for Tom there. Just type in The Real Tight Spot, New Music Inferno. Also hit up twitch.tv/Ron_Funches because the Funch Daddy needs his love too. You can catch me at SummerSlam. You can catch me at some shows coming up here as well. But just hit me up on the socials and we'll talk.
Absolutely awesome. JR, again, thank you so much for joining. Really do appreciate you taking the time. Hope you have a great night. Go Pittsburgh. Go Vegas. Go Notre Dame. Take care, buddy.
But no, real quick, thank you, Tom. Thank you. And also, thank you, Big Fudge Daddy, who delightfully gave you my number and got this all squared away. So, love you guys. Peace out. And we'll be back talking about Funko Pops another day.
Absolutely. Thanks, JR. Appreciate it.